we have Jack McCaffrey joining us here on the Sports Bash PT to talk some Phillies. Hopefully everyone can step away from the roulette tables, like he mentioned, and focus
That's right.
on this great interview. Jack, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it. How are you, man?
Great to be here, Ryan. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. So we've talked a lot of Eagles today, coming off that interesting preseason game, that quote-unquote rematch with the Patriots. But there was a doubleheader going on yesterday, too, which was pretty interesting. The Mets outscored the Phillies in Game 1. What was your thoughts of Game 1 there with the Phillies-Mets?
Well, it got a little out of order. Suarez didn't have much. Leiter didn't have much. And the defense was poor. Then it got out of hand. And at the end of the game, Kapler used Quinn and Scott Kingery for a total of 3 innings. It was 24-4. But like the Phillies said, it's like a lot of times you have something like that, you've got a whole night to sleep on it. Well, they only had less than a half an hour, really, and they were back out there for the second game. They win the second game, play pretty well, continuing to hit the ball well, and wound up half a game closer to first place than they started the day yesterday, which is kind of unreal on a day when you give up 30 runs. You give up 30 runs in a day, and you move closer to first place.
Right.
You think you've seen everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think the joke Ryan was trying to make was that the Mets outscored the Eagles, is what he was trying to say there, Jack. But that is a little crazy.
Yeah.
We've seen some position players pitching before. What was your take, and what did you think of Gabe Kapler's defense of his strategy? Because you wrote on DelcoTimes.com his strategy in Game 1, the battle cry was don't be bold, like don't waste the bullpen.
Yeah, there's obviously his strategy. It's been done before. It's not the first time that a game has gotten out of hand and a manager has gone to a position player. It's been going on for as long as I can remember. It happens 2 or 3 times a year. You'll see it for various reasons. The only question I had about it was the way Scott Kingery threw the ball, which was literally so slow that it wasn't being picked up by the radar gun.
Right.
To me, that goes from just resting your bullpen to flat out, just retreat. And there's a very, very fine line there. These people pay decent money to watch these games. To just throw that kind of pitch up there was, I thought it was a little bad taste. Talked to Kingery after the game. He said, look, I tried to go in the cage and throw the ball hard. He said, I wasn't doing well with that. He said, I didn't think I would do well with that. He said, it was basically my decision to throw it this way. So he did it, and it was done. It didn't look good. It was a bad look for the Phillies, but they recovered in the second game.
Yeah, before I leave that topic, Jack, I will ask you this. Gabe Kapler is usually Mr. Positive, right? He never has anything negative to say about his players. He always seems to accentuate the positive. Very rarely have I seen Gabe Kapler either lose his cool or maybe kind of pick up his intensity a little bit. But I think when that post-game Game 1 press conference was held, did he take a little umbrage at being questioned for that strategy or the way he did things?
Not too out of character for him. In fact, I said to him, I said, Gabe, people pay, good money to watch this. Don't you, even no matter who you use, whether it's Kingery or anybody else, don't you owe them really a major league effort? And I found to be an odd comment, and I'll paraphrase. It's not exactly from. Basically, he said, I'll bet you that more people are entertained by that than would have been if we just come in with one of our usual relievers that we have in a 20-run deficit game and put them out there. So he thought it was entertaining for people at that point. It was certainly, I'll tell you what, it was a conversation piece, that's for sure. We're talking about it a day later. So it's it's been done before. It worked for them. They wound up winning the second game anyway. They didn't dwell on it. They weren't demoralized by losing 24-4. Came right back and won the game. As he predicted, he said, look, we're razor focused on winning this second game. They fell behind early, but hit the ball well and won the game. And it's my opinion. This is the opinion of some other people too, that has to be done in the future. at least give it a major league effort. Because where do you draw the line? What if he said, just swing and miss, and we'll get out of here quickly, and we'll reposition ourselves for the second game? Or if you just tap the ball to the infield, just walk to first base. That way we can get done earlier, and nobody's going to pull a muscle. I mean, at some point, where do you draw the line? I happen to draw it at, I'm okay with you putting a position player in to pitch, but at that point, no matter what position he's trying to do, compete at it. Throw the ball as hard as you can and see if you can get somebody out.
Right.
You're not going to get somebody out because you're not a major league pitcher. I understand that. I get it. But you're going to that's where I would have drawn the line. Gabe Kapler doesn't draw the line there. He draws it somewhere else. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Jack McCaffrey with us from the Delco Times. Yeah, the blooper pitches that didn't activate the Raider gun. I think that was the demarcation line for you, Jack. Interesting, though, that Scott Kingery then becomes the first player to pitch in Game 1 of a doubleheader, then hit a home run in Game 2 since 1968. Rocky Calavito with the Yankees against the Tigers, to go back to that obscure stat. I mean, you get crazy games like that, and like you said, Jack, is this symbolic of the way the Phillies have been all year? I mean, literally all in one day, they get completely waxed in Game 1, and it's comical and it's a farce, and then they come out and hold on and win 9-6, including the big 3-run home run from Rhys Hoskins and a good effort from Zach Eflin in Game 2. It's sort of symbolic that they really have a short-term memory.
It is, Pete. They have great. They do bounce back, and they've had some tough times. They had tough times earlier in the year. You're talking about a season where, quite literally, it was 3 games old, and the general manager was coming out giving a vote of confidence to the manager. 3 games. So it's been an odd year. It's been an interesting year. It's been a fun year to watch. It's been a productive year for the Phillies. And sometimes you just catch something like that. You might want to just grab onto this and enjoy it for a while, because you're one of those teams that can give up 30 runs in a day and still move closer to first place. Maybe it is your year. Maybe things are just going your way. And not only is it going their way, but, wow, did Matt Klentak do a good job at the trade deadline and just after the trade deadline. If you told me earlier in the year that they were going to add Wilson Ramos, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Justin Bour for the stretch, I would have said, no, they're not going to do it. He pulled off all 3 of those. That's 3 pretty heavy hitters to add to that lineup. And that comes after spending big for Arrieta and Santana and Hunter and Neshek, and he picked up Luke. It's a team it's not a novelty at this point. It's a legitimate contender and a team that's going to be in it to the end. Whether or not they can win that division, it's a tough division. Still think the Nationals are going to be a real handful, but there's wild cards to be made, and it's not a novelty. It's not a fluke. It's a pretty good baseball team.
Jack, going off those additions that Klentak added to the team right before the deadline there and slightly after, talk about Wilson Ramos and how important he's going to be for this stretch playoff push here. And with him in the lineup, what's your ideal lineup for this team, the ideal batting lineup here moving forward? Because it's different all the time now.
It is. It's different all the time, and it depends on if you're going against a right-hander, left-hander, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting he's got Quinn in there at center field tonight. Again, Phillies will play the Mets at 6, and Quinn's back in center field. It makes you think that there's some thought that he may be your guy going forward and not Herrera. I doubt it, though. It's probably just a temporary thing. You absolutely want to play. You want to play Ramos as much as you can at catcher. To me, I would put Rhys Hoskins to clean up and leave him there. It's really unusual. The guy had a home run in each of the games of the doubleheader yesterday at cleanup. Comes out today and he's batting second. But that's the way Gabe Kapler manages, and it's not quite as revolutionary as you would think. If you want to go back to the 60s, Gene Mauch used to manage that way, and Gene Mauch is recognized as one of the great tacticians of all time. He got a guy second one day and eighth next to put a pitcher on first base. He did all that kind of thing. So I get it. I get what Kapler does. He manages for today. He manages his lineup for today. the exact batting order, Hernandez leading off, right? And then, Hoskins cleanup. Franco right behind him. Maybe Santana third, right in there. The rest of the lineup just fits in. I mean, obviously, Williams has won the right field spot. That was up in the air earlier in the year. Your shortstop, to me, I would put Pereira in there every day and just live with him. Live with whatever defensive lapses he gives you, because Scott Kingery is going to get a great value out of what he learned this season. But for a pennant race, you can't have a light-hitting shortstop, not in this day and age. You almost have to have an American League lineup. So if you have a lineup with Ramos, Santana, Hernandez, Cabrera, Franco, Hoskins, Herrera, and Williams, that's a lineup that all of those players are going to definitely hit double-figure home runs, possibly 20, and very quite likely more than 20. That's an American League lineup. That's a lineup where everybody can smash the ball out of the park. That's the way the Phillies should be configured, considering the ballpark that they play in. It's so small that it's about time that they really had one of those kind of lineups. And so that's how I would. Those guys in any order you want to do it, but definitely Hoskins fourth for me, and Ramos every day. Get Quinn in there occasionally as a change of pace in center field.
Yeah, Jack McCaffrey with us, Blackjack with us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Phillies 40-20 now, home record. I believe they lead the National League in home wins so far. And you bring up Ramos, Jack. Before we let you go, Alfaro in the lineup tonight. Is that just a case where Nola's comfortable with Jorge Alfaro? But although Ramos looked pretty good the other night with guys he hadn't really caught yet.
Not necessarily. We talked to Gabe not long ago, and he kind of touched on it just a little bit. Obviously Ramos is coming off the hamstring injury, and they're going to be a little bit cautious with him, at least early. 2 nights ago, he had all those extra base hits. He was on base all night long, running around. Last night in Game 2, he got back on base again. He was doing some running around. I agree. I understand what you're saying. I would probably just throw Ramos in there and be done with it. But to answer your question, why Alfaro's in there tonight, my best feel for what I got out of Gabe today is that there's just going to be, for at least a little bit, some caution against overusing Ramos because of the lengthy time that he spent with that hamstring injury.
And even though it is a bandbox, Citizens Bank Park, it should be a good pitcher's duel tonight too, right, Jack? 6 o'clock start, like you said a little bit earlier. I guess that's sort of a ripple effect to the Williamsport game, but Noah Syndergaard versus Aaron Nola, 6 o'clock start time.
Yeah, there's a concert after the game that has something to do with that.
Oh, Old Dominion, yeah, can't leave them out. Yeah. I mean, God forbid if we haven't heard that promo 800,000 times while watching the games.
Yeah, so I think that has something to do with it. And it is kind of an odd weekend, and it's all of a sudden it shapes up to be a little bit of a challenge. You have Syndergaard tonight, you have DeGrom tomorrow afternoon, and then Sunday you're playing that crazy minor league park game in Williamsport where who knows how people are going to react. The Phillies will have the home field edge to the extent that they're the last team batting, and they should have the crowd on their side since it's their minor league city up there, and it is Pennsylvania. But it's going to be a lot of kids from the Little League World Series, so it could be split with who they're rooting for, who they're cheering for, who they're even paying attention to. So it's an odd series. It was a 7-game homestand, right?
Right.
And you figure they'll split with Boston, and they had to really make hay against the Mets, and they still have that chance to do that. But you're going to have to beat Syndergaard, DeGrom, and win in Williamsport, and that's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Absolutely is. It should be an interesting week and an interesting rest of the regular season here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Jack McCaffrey spending a few minutes with us on a Friday here on the Sports Bash. Jack, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.